Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining season 2 of Fireside Chat with Blue Key Media. In this season, we are continuing to meet with marketing professionals, with event planners, and really anyone who is in the marketing space or helping businesses promote their business or their nonprofit. So today we've got AM Plans on the show. Really excited about this because AM Plans is an event planning business that works with nonprofits, and they're doing a lot right now to adapt to the current situation as it relates to digital events, to video. So I'm super excited. Thanks so much, Anne and Sherri, for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Definitely. So give me a little bit of background on what AM Plans is, who you serve, what you do, how long you've been around, and kind of where you're at today.
Absolutely. So I founded the company in 2007. Hard to believe it's been over 12 years now. And as you mentioned, we specifically are targeted to serving the nonprofit community. And our mission is to partner with organizations in creating amazing events that inspire generosity. And we work with clients to really focus on strategies that will grow attendance, help them to raise more money, cultivate relationships with their audience, and also really help people to understand the impact of their services and the work that they're doing in the community.
Awesome. And then Sherri is your right-hand person, right? And helps you with events and putting on the shows that for your clients, right?
Yeah, so I've been working with Anne for about 5 years now, and actually my background is in video production and event staging. So this new virtual world we're entering is in my wheelhouse, and I'm familiar with it. So it's been great to introduce this technology and to be involved with this technology more so, and really work with our nonprofit clients on understanding it.
For sure. Yeah. And so right now, I mean, no events are happening in person, right? And people are just kind of trying to figure out what to do. They're kind of scrambling. I mean, what's happening right now with you guys and the conversation that's happening with your clients about their in-person events and how they might have to switch to a virtual event?
Sure. So I would say since mid-March, when we really started seeing the impact of COVID-19 on our local events industry, that sort of the conversations and the advice we're giving has changed almost on a weekly basis. When large group gatherings first started getting canceled in mid-March, pretty much everything the rest of March and April started shifting to a new plan. Now everything May, June that we're working on has shifted as well. And in all honesty, we're having clients with events even scheduled as far out as November, starting to start thinking about what plan B might be. So I would say many of our clients in March were looking at a reschedule for later in the year. Now we're seeing many more clients making the decision to go to a virtual format.
Yeah. I've been talking with other people too, and it's either they're scaling back to making it small, they're pushing it back to next year, or they're going virtual. What are the different types of virtual events? What are the different types of formats that people can be doing? What are the different events that or virtual formats that you've been recommending to people or seeing out there?
Yeah, there are, many different ways you can do a virtual event. Some organizations are doing virtual events that last the entire week. Maybe it's an online campaign. Some are doing it where there's actually a program that guests can tune into. And that is really what, we've been working with a lot as far as with our clients and what we're envisioning. I think clients or organizations like gathering their people together, whether it is virtually or in person, and showing the support for organizations. So there's different kinds of virtual events, but and they all require a lot of promotion ahead of time, getting the word out, and we are working with our clients too on some of those strategies.
Sherri, I don't know if you'd like to talk a little bit about, are these events happening as pre-recorded, live, or some kind of combination?
Mm-hmm. So we have been seeing a lot of different scenarios as far as these live programs. And when I say live, it means sometimes they are live going on the internet, but they may be pre-recorded. So having an event pre-recorded gives you a lot more control over the content, the speakers, and the length, which Anne mentioned before is something it's really important to consider, considering that the attention span is always, and keeping the guests engaged is always something we're thinking about, even in an in-person event. And now when it's virtual, it's even more important to keep guests engaged, and because there's so many other distractions going on. So a live event would be something that is broadcast completely in real time. So nothing pre-recorded. And I have yet to see any events that have been completely live, but a lot of them have pre-recorded elements to it, whether it's a video or an interview or someone speaking on camera from their home that has been recorded. So it's really been a variation. I think that pre-recorded events or pre-recorded is basically the most secure way to make sure technology is on your side and you get your message across.
You're talking about, people need to think a little bit differently about their events, right? Your virtual event is not just like your in-person event.
Mm-hmm.
So how have you been helping people adjust? I mean, what are people having to think about differently, or how are you having to restructure events for, being all online virtual, to keep those people engaged? Because I mean, I know from experience when I've been watching webinars or things like that, I have a hard time, not having other things pulled up or getting distracted and kind of, zoning out a little bit. So how are you guys going about figuring out different ways to keep people engaged? And how should people be thinking about their events differently?
Yeah, I think I think it's important to put the message and the mission forefront in the program. Because there is a shorter attention span, we want to be able to tell our guests exactly why we are having this event and what is the most important part of gathering everyone in that moment. And so another ways to keep people engaged is, if this event normally is a semi-formal or formal event, or maybe people always wear red, to invite your guests to do the same thing. And then share on social media, hashtag your pictures on Instagram and share them, just to keep people engaged throughout. That's another way to do it, I guess, throughout the program. Client stories are always a really important part of all of nonprofit organizations' events, for really people understanding getting a personal experience or empathy towards the work that the organization is doing.
We're really helping our clients and challenging our clients to think about their program in really short segments. So if typically the CEO speaks 5 to 7 minutes, maybe we're doing a 1 to 2 minute message from the CEO about why support is so important and why it's more important than ever before. Maybe having, 2 or 3 short videos from clients or participants that are interspersed throughout the program instead of one longer video. Is there the opportunity to incorporate some entertainment into the program? Of course, if it's an arts organization, that can be easy to do, but for other organizations, is there a well-known local speaker, or local artist who might be able to do something that ties in with the mission of the organization? And I think just to find some ways to have fun, whether it's a little contest or something like that. But the feedback that we've heard the most from people who've been tuning into these virtual events is, oh my gosh, that one interview they did was so long, or it got so boring, I just turned off. I think too, the typical arc for a fundraising event is to have your direct invitation to give towards the end of the program.
Right.
But I think a virtual event provides opportunity to kind of reinforce that invitation to give throughout the event. And so, as an example, we're working with the Guthrie on their virtual event, which will be in June. Their program is expected to be about 60 minutes, and we don't know yet exactly where the most powerful invitation to give will be, but it will probably be in the first 20 to 30 minutes. We're not going to wait till minute 45 or 50 to do that.
Right, and it's important too during the program to have that information on screen at any time when someone joins the program, so they know exactly where to go to give.
Yeah, that's an interesting opportunity with virtual events, is being able to have that be visible, you know, or be a part of it throughout the whole show versus, you know, saving that big call to action, live appeal towards the end. You're able to incorporate reminders along the way, whether it be a little banner that comes up or something. Yeah.
Right.
Something I was going to say, something that we started noticing early in 2020 before COVID-19 began impacting events was just we were starting to see more organizations do short videos that they were pushing out to help promote the event. So one event I was attending, I got a text message with a short message from the CEO saying, you know, how excited he was that I was coming, and, you know, this is what you're going to be helping to support. And so another thing we're working with clients on is kind of that whole pre-event, like the lead up to the actual virtual event. And that's an opportunity if there are people where you feel like, well, so-and-so really needs to be part of the program, but we don't want to have pack too much into the program. There is the opportunity to use other clients, other staff members, maybe a board member, to do a clever, short little promotional video, you know, 30 seconds, or Dan, you're the expert when it comes to length, but, you know, it's something that's very short, but engaging, that can be shared with people who've signed up to come and can be pushed out on social media. I think there's a lot of opportunity for creativity in this virtual space.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, that, you know, engaging one-on-one with people before the event with a 30-second video like you were talking about. And is like pre-promotion more important than ever now for these virtual events? Is it harder to get people to attend virtual events? Are you finding that, you know, it's pretty similar? I mean, how is the work beforehand and promoting it changing with things going virtual?
You know, I think one of the big opportunities that virtual events are providing organizations is the opportunity to greatly expand their audience. So if there's an event where the venue capacity is 500 people, you can have up to 500 people at your event. And our clients, typically for an in-person large fundraising event, they're largely marketing to corporate sponsors who fill tables, as well as their top donors. With a virtual event, we have the opportunity to invite as many people to participate as possible. So that's why I think I look at it as more of an opportunity than a have to, that, oh my gosh, we can tell the whole world that this event is happening. And we are suggesting to clients that if they typically have table hosts and corporate sponsors that fill tables and individuals that bring people, you know, still invite those people to join you. And, you know, if people are able to gather in small groups by the time of the event, you know, maybe you can have a house party where you're inviting people to come.
Yeah, I was talking with one person and about how to create more of a program, an experience where you're engaging the guests a part of the program. And one thing we were talking about is like care packages or something like that people receive beforehand. Is that something you guys have been thinking at all about, having how you're able to incorporate both a physical element with, you know, what they're seeing online with the video, or what's happening in the virtual presentation?
Absolutely. Something that we have seen is some organizations are inviting people up front if they want a special elevated experience to make a donation right up front. And then that might get you a bottle of champagne and, some special gift, that type of thing. Sherri participated in a virtual event this week where they encouraged people it was over the lunch hour, and they encouraged people to help support a local business by doing takeout from a restaurant. We have seen and are suggesting to other clients that there's the featured cocktail for the event. So you put that cocktail recipe on the website and share it on social media. And then, your host, has the cocktail all mixed up, or they mix it up on stage.
Yeah, I can only imagine that there's all sorts of unique ideas that are happening to try and keep that engagement. One thing, I sent both of you the video, or at least you, Ann, I know. I helped put together a video program for my church. It was an Easter service. And one of the things that we were trying to do differently is, you can't just have the person up on a stage or in front of a backdrop giving that full 45-minute sermon in this case, because otherwise people are just going to disengage a lot quicker. So we ended up going to all these different locations, and every 5 minutes, it was somewhere else around the city that matched with whatever was happening. And that's one area I see opportunity with events, and just trying to make them different than what you would experience at an actual event where you're all sitting together in a room and you listen to somebody speak in front of the podium. How do you transport them to what you're talking about? I think that creates a lot of opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There has been a few virtual events too where we've seen where instead of having someone speak right to the camera about their story, maybe they share it with another person. So it's more of you're watching a conversation happen. This works well likely with the younger children, or if there's someone who is more comfortable talking to somebody about their story. That is another way to share somebody's story if they're not comfortable telling their story by themselves.
For sure. And for events that we've both worked together on a video component for an event last year, and our videos like that, we did a 3-minute or 4-minute video that helped kick off the event that got people excited, and then there was a patient story later on. Are those videos still relevant? Are they more important now than they were before? I mean, are you guys still using video like that, or is it shifting a little bit?
Yeah, it is shifting. I think what a lot of organizations can do is they can use either previous footage that has been shot before and use someone such as yourself to edit another video together, which is a great idea. A lot of people are taking the video shot from people's homes. So individual people are shooting their own video. They're given instructions on how best to do it. And then an editor is putting it together and creating something to show during the program.
We are definitely having to think differently about what these videos look like, because, we're not able to get the kind of B-roll that we typically would do where, we go to the hospital and film them walking into the hospital, or we film them, at the recreation center, or so that's a way. So that's a definite shift that we're having to take into account. I think one type of video that's really powerful right now is when the organization has the opportunity to get a little soundbite from several clients or several patrons. And just hearing, I think during this time when we can't be together, to hear from many voices can be really powerful. One of our clients is, they've picked a sonnet from Shakespeare that they are going to have a number of different actors and directors. They're going to have them record themselves saying it, and then they'll piece it all together so that we can hear multiple voices Some of our clients are thinking about putting together a thank you video where they'll have several staff people filming a thank you message. So I think this is a time where the more we can help to illustrate a sense of there's still many of us connected, even though we can't be in the same room together. It is really powerful.
You know, that's, I was just kind of thinking, it's true, like we're not able to capture the same video, the same content, B-roll that we once were. And it almost maybe creates an opportunity for, I don't know, almost like more forgiveness on the like quality per se of video, right? Where people are okay with seeing a video where it's people just recording it on their webcam, and it's some sort of a montage versus, you know, maybe at an in-person event, it's like, if it wasn't super polished and high production, it might be almost more detrimental. But now there's a unique opportunity where, you know, people don't necessarily care. It's almost like they like those videos that are more, you know, DIY and like you said, and, you know, showing a sense of togetherness, community.
Yeah, it's real authentic and reflects really the time we're in right now. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and that's kind of something interesting to consider too, is just how people are perceiving the content that's being produced, that's being put out there as it relates to the time and what's happening. And that does come across as more authentic if you lean into the situation that's happening.
I think also when people are recording their videos to show on this program and their family is behind them and they're in their home environment, I think you have a sense of just, you feel how, you know how they feel right now. And this is hard. And you can see them in their home with their family and they still really want to really deeply support and this organization. And it's raw, but like I said, it's authentic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't even really thought about that until now. So that's a really great point. So once things start evolving and, you know, hopefully we return to some sort of normalcy, how do you see events being changed, you know, forever, or at least for the near future, once we're able to start gathering together in person? What types of shifts do you expect to see, or have you already started to see in your planning for events coming up next year?
Until we have a vaccine for COVID-19, I think our events will definitely be looking different, and it all will depend on the restrictions we have at the time. So we'll have to think about how guests are, how many guests are in a room, or where they are placed, or how we serve food, hand hygiene or hygiene measures. All those things will be taken into account. But I also think it gives a great opportunity to try new things and to find interesting ways to come together when we can come together.
And we expect that at least in the short term, when these events start happening in person again, that some organizations may choose to have a virtual element. So, you know, maybe we have 300 people in the ballroom, but there also is the opportunity for people to tune into the live stream program. So that, I think, is that's what people in the industry are calling a hybrid event right now. We expect to see some of that. I also think, and one of the things that's helping me to try to stay positive and sort of have a sense of balance during this pandemic is to think about, you know, what is COVID-19 giving us the opportunity to learn? What is COVID-19 providing as a teacher? And I do think when we go back to in-person events that many organizations will think about their programming differently, because the virtual platform is giving us the opportunity, I think, to be smarter about how we put a program together. Some of the most common feedback we hear, of course not on AMs events, but other events, is, oh my gosh, that program at that event I went to on Friday was so long, it was so boring. So I think when we start seeing these events in person again, that we probably will see shorter live programs that are more thoughtful, stronger messaging, more compelling.
Do you feel like video the importance of video the value that people put on video and that video content incorporated into the program? Do you think that's going to shift at all? Do you see, because right now everything has to be video, right? In order to put on a virtual event, you have to watch it somehow over video. So do you have a feeling that people's sentiment towards it might change? Or what do you kind of see in there? Or what do you think?
I think my prediction is that there will continue to be, I think there may be an increase in the use of video assets for in-person events, because people have had more of an opportunity to experiment with different ways to put video together. And there again, I think maybe it will be, we'll see more video elements in many events, and they'll also be short and snappy.
And I think too, videos are a great way to really focus in on the mission and the message you're trying to portray. So I think there will be probably, if you're trying to make a program shorter, likely is more videos to try to get your messages in.
And I think we'll see more videos used as part of the pre-event marketing. So whether it's the CEO or a board member or the event chair saying, we're so excited to be hosting this event, next week. These are the things you can look forward to, maybe some videos promoting the live auction packages, or a short video that really speaks to mission, but also as a way to let folks know that this event is coming up.
Yeah, benefiting your sponsors too is in video is a good way to let your sponsors engage and tell their story and why they support that organization, which also could be done in the pre-event marketing.
Yeah, that I know, and Sherri too. Both of you had talked about a little bit before this that there were new opportunities for sponsors. Could you talk a little bit more about that and kind of what you were meaning behind that with how sponsors can benefit and how events can help provide those benefits to sponsors now that maybe weren't available before?
Yeah, well, one benefit to our corporate sponsors is that organizations are thinking more broadly about who they're marketing the event to. So there are more people who are going to see the emails and the social media posts that go out about the event that also thank the sponsors. Most of the virtual events right now have anywhere from, it could be 5 minutes to 30 minutes of sort of slides or pre-recorded content that's actually rolling before the actual program starts. So if we're saying tune in at 7 o'clock, if people are tuning in earlier to get set up, there's the opportunity to have messaging that includes, the program starts and, whatever time. There can be a countdown clock, but that can be an opportunity to be giving some sponsor recognition as well.
Yeah, interesting. I didn't even think about the 15 minutes before the program actually starts creates an opportunity for, sponsors, companies to, maybe take that 1 or 2 minute brand video or something that is promoting them or however it relates and be able to roll that into those pre minutes. So
what we're finding so far is our clients who had sponsors already confirmed to support their live in-person event, I pretty much across the board have heard that those sponsors are still committed to fulfilling their sponsorship support and are actually excited about the new format.
That's awesome. Is there anything else, as it relates to the opportunity of video that we haven't necessarily covered yet that you guys kind of wanted to talk about with events and everything shifting virtual right now?
I think we could talk a little bit about, I did see a lot of organizations, even though they're not doing in-person events, are still holding silent auctions online. And one I have seen is that some people, an organization, took video talking about the different silent auction items and every day posted a few of these videos on their social media. And they were really funny. They were kind of like a home shopping network describing the item. And I thought it was really entertaining because I actually wanted to go back and watch more of them and find out what was in their silent auction. So that was a fun way they used video for, the promoting the event beforehand and also getting the excitement revolving or around their silent auction.
Interesting. Yeah, that is a really unique idea, bringing humor in. And are you seeing like these virtual auctions that are happening? Is it being directed by two people? Like there's two people talking through, like, okay, now we're, moving to this this item, and they describe it, and there's could be some, humor or some sort of element that brings it to life versus it just being a passive online portal that people just kind of go like a silent auction. I mean, have you been talking with people about that, or have you seen that anywhere?
So at this point, the live auctions that we've seen going virtual have been more sort of like you described, where it's often two people kind of sharing the descriptions of the 4 or 5 packages, getting people excited. People can bid from their home, but the item isn't sold in real time. So it might be like, our live auction remains open until 12 o'clock. I think the concern right now is if we try to facilitate live auctions in real time and there isn't the level of participation that we're hoping for or looking for, that could fall flat. I think it's a challenging time right now, and I think we'll know more in the next couple of weeks of how things are playing out. But when people currently aren't able to gather and people aren't traveling, how excited are people going to be to bid on the villa in Italy or, the cocktail party for 20 people? And so those auctions are still happening, and some of those packages are selling well. If an auction is going to go live and items sold in real time, what we believe is a critical factor to have in place is to work with your supporters ahead of time to identify people who are genuinely interested in those packages. So ideally, you have a couple of your supporters who are really excited about the trip to Vail, and that they're willing to bid that item up to, say, $4,000, just so that item doesn't fall flat.
Yeah, I guess kind of what you're talking about, the pre-video that was sharing, it was a humorous approach on saying, what these packages were. And that could be an opportunity for people to get creative with how they now promote their items that they're trying to sell. And maybe it's more important than ever now to create some sort of unique video or some sort of unique element that promotes each one of these items more than just, a description of what it is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yep.
For sure.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me on our first episode of the Fireside Chat. It was an awesome conversation, and it was a lot of fun connecting and talking about what's happening with virtual events and this unprecedented shift that we're all experiencing. And hopefully, it sounds like there'll be a lot of good that comes out of this, and having to experience and play around with new ideas that hopefully will make everything stronger in the long run. So
great. Thank you. And we can't wait for our next project with you.
Yeah, us too.
We always enjoy working
with you. So, all right. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.